Hi, everybody. This is John Murphy at Murtech.com with your daily news update. All right, I've updated my site for the final time today on May the 16th in the year of our Lord 2024. This is episode 1200, 1200. All right, normally I start my live streams at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time. Just to give you a heads up, tomorrow evening it will probably start at 8:30. My sixth grade son has a dance tomorrow night. This is his first dance, sixth grade dance. Right over here, Simeon. He's going to a dance. This is Ella Mae, Quentin, Alina, and Scarlett. This is my wife, and this is me. So I'll be taking him. The dance is from 6 to 8. So I'll be taking him and picking him up, and hopefully he's going to have a good time. Like I say, this is his first dance. I'd like to be there, maybe to see him dance a little bit. That might be interesting. But at any rate, just to give you a heads up, my live stream tomorrow evening will start at 8:30. Okay, let's click on Murtech on Rumble. Again, I've updated my site. I have over 50 no-nonsense, common sense, logic, and truth videos. I'm going to share some information from Wendy Bell. Also from Stephen Gardner. Down here. Here we go. Stephen Gardner. This is a new channel that I'm sharing here on Murtech.com. Click over here on his page. He has a lot of great information, and he has a good presentation. So I thought you'd be interested in hearing some new stuff. Okay, so again, let's get over here to Murtech on Rumble. This is the video here you're looking at. Let me go ahead and pause that. Close this out. Now, getting down here into the description box. Let me click this and spread it out here a little bit, expand it out. This is the video tonight. Stephen Gardner, Biden crisis, USA Watchdog with Brian Sussman, Health Ranger report talking about the bird flu, Pandemic X, I guess, is what that may be the Pandemic X that they were talking about. Wendy Bell, episode 1200. All right, before we get into this, let me give a shout out here to Doubler1, commented on my Vivek Ramaswamy video. Let me give that a thumbs up. Now, I'm not sure if there was an issue with Rumble, because normally I get, 2 or 3 or 4 people following me and 4 or 5 or 6 or more comments. But I just got one comment, notification of one comment. I got the notification bell on here, the lights on, so I'm not sure what that's all about. I'll get into that after the video. But at any rate, here in the description box, let's start out with Stephen Gardner. Biden faces crisis as Pentagon leaks horrible news. Now, what was in the news today, and he's going to talk a little bit about this, Stephen is the debate between Biden and Trump. Now, I know Trump kind of pushed for this, but Trump will probably do well in the debates. But I'll tell you what, I'm kind of scratching my head on this because he really has nothing to gain, but he might have something to lose on this. So I'm not sure what that's all about. I guess I'll trust his judgment on this. At any rate, let's get into Stephen Gardner's video. Big mistake, Joe. You screwed America. Yep.
I think they deserve to see bumbling Joe Biden on stage, although he'll probably be hopped up with Adderall like he was at the final debate, as well as each of the State of the Union addresses. But what do you think? Is this going to be awesome? I think they should do like a huge, huge venue. I think that everybody should tune in, and it should be as big as the new Mike Tyson fight that's coming up on Netflix. Now, needless to say, RFK Jr., the third-party candidate, was not happy about being left out. In fact, he posted on Twitter and argued that Trump and Biden are colluding to keep him out of the race. Now, RFK Jr. stated, "They are trying to exclude me from their debate because they are afraid I would win. Keeping viable candidates off the debate stage undermines democracy. And while I agree with RFK Jr. to some extent, from a strategic standpoint, it would be smart for Biden and Donald Trump to keep him off because it just gives him free airtime that he doesn't have to pay for." But I do feel bad for RFK Jr., and I like him. I think that as part of democracy, he does deserve the right to pitch the American people. And I'd love to see him in the Trump cabinet as Attorney General or even head of Human Health Services. Someone has to hold Big Pharma accountable. We should have been told about ways to stay healthy during the lockdowns, but they didn't. We should have been told about old drugs repurposed that helped, but instead they chose to push crappy vaccines down our throats or into each of our arms. And now we're finding out that they cause strokes, heart attacks, blood clots, and myocarditis. So one thing I do like about RFK Jr. is that he has tried to hold Dr. Fauci accountable because government loves to meddle in our lives. In fact, there is a dark side to the FDA, and they try to control us and push us down a path that enriches Big Pharma. For example, I take a supplement called NMN, which boosts the NAD plus in your body. NAD plus gives the fifth.
Now he's actually going into a commercial here, so let me go ahead and skip past this.
Meat producing animals. Did you know that the government and Bill Gates are in discussions on giving mRNA shots to cattle and other meat producing animals? So in addition to pumping them full of hormones and antibiotics, now they want to give them the same mRNA shots that cause blood clots, strokes, heart attack, and myocarditis. I mean, I can't wait to be at a steakhouse and say, "Honey, look at the marbling and the blood clots in my steak." Oh my gosh, I cannot believe that, number one, they're even talking to Bill Gates, and number two, they know how damaging this new mRNA technology is. It is not perfected. It is not what they think, and it's having a horrible effect on humans. Now they want to inject every piece of meat on the planet with this crap. We have to get rid of this. But I want to hear from you guys. Do you approve of this or disapprove? If you approve of this and you want mRNA in your meat, I want you to type A. And if you disapprove, I want you to type the letter D. I definitely want to hear from you guys. By the way, thank you guys so much for liking and sharing these videos. It really helps me out. And so I'm so grateful for each and every one of you. All right, now, for the first time in what seems like years, the Consumer Price Index, the CPI report, was actually on par with what economists predicted. The index rose 0.3% month over month and 3.4% year over year. Now, this is significant because these are the exact numbers predicted. Inflation may finally be becoming more stable. Now, of course, Biden is going to use this to claim that he is the one improving the economy. But in reality, the high interest rates are finally starting to calm the economy down. Now, Yahoo Finance said this: Biden has claimed to have inherited a 9% inflation economy, but in reality, it was 1.4% under Donald Trump. So let's be honest, Biden is a career politician, and career politicians lie for a living. Does anyone really believe that Biden hasn't let us off a financial inflation cliff? I mean, I'm not buying it. So I dug into it. Now, after this, I want you to go to my particular page. Just click Stephen Gardner down below. It'll take you in. Then go over to the community tab, and I've got a picture right there with the data, the raw data in a picture, and it shows you exactly when inflation got out of control. And it was in the first year of Biden when they started passing all of these crazy $1 trillion bills which they haven't even put the money into place yet. But by printing that, it makes inflation go absolutely crazy. Now, unfortunately, Biden's been great at one thing: spending money and not generating a return. Just take the Ukraine crisis, for example. We've sent hundreds of billions of dollars to Ukraine, and they're still losing the war due to various unavoidable reasons. For one, Ukraine is the victim of its own corruption. It's literally been voted the most corrupt country in Europe, which means that they've been wasting our hard-earned taxpayer money. But it gets worse. Listen to this. Just look at Russia's recent advancement. There's reports that Russia walked in to the Ukrainian city of Kharkiv without any resistance. Do you hear what I'm saying? The Russian army just marched right in. While there was supposed to be a huge investment in first-line defense, there was none. Absolutely none. Now, Denny Yarvakoshki, a Ukrainian commander in the region, said this: there was no first line of defense. We saw it. The Russians just walked in. They just walked in. There was no minefields. Neither was it an act of negligence or corruption. It wasn't a failure. It was betrayal. So this is a Ukrainian commander saying that the Ukrainian government betrayed the Ukrainian military and that Russia just marched right into Kharkiv. Now, this is where my blood starts to boil. Do you know why Russia was able to waltz in and take the city in one day? Because hundreds of fake contractor jobs stole hundreds of millions of dollars of U.S. taxpayer money and then built nothing. Nothing. They built nothing. They faked these contractor jobs, these military jobs, stole our money, and then when Russia actually got there, they walked in and captured it faster than a Hamas supporter could take Harvard. Like, this is bad, you guys. Like, they thought Russia would never show up. They could steal hundreds of millions of dollars of American money and that nobody would find out. But Russia came knocking and they just walked right in. They took the entire city. You guys, this entire Ukraine war is a giant money laundering scheme. Ukraine just proved why every country in Europe says that Ukraine is the most corrupt government in Europe. This is why they're not part of Europe. This is why they're not part of NATO. These stupid politicians stole our money and then gave it to thieves, friends, and donors. I want you to comment over on the side. Is this a scam? Is this a grift? If you think that this is a scam, I want you to type Y for yes. And if you don't, I want you to type N for no. I personally think this is a scam. And I feel so bad for the people of Ukraine. 500,000 people have died. 10 million have had to flee to Europe. And yet they blame Putin. And these freaking people, they stole our money. They stole our money. They used fake contract receipts to steal hundreds of millions of dollars from us. And then Russia just takes the place. Gosh. Oh my gosh, it makes me so mad. They just freaking stole our money. They just stole it. And you know Washington, D.C. knows that they're just handing our money over to these corrupt people. They know that Ukraine is corrupt. Oh, okay. Just breathe. Just breathe. It's just stolen money. It's just making inflation out of control where you live. Ugh. All right, now listen, on top of that, we're supposed to be funding this war to fight for democracy. Here's the problem. President Zelensky is trying to delay elections in Ukraine until the war is over, and then said he believes the war will last 10 or more years. This means Ukraine does not plan to hold a free and fair election like a Democrat elected state for 10 years. So we're not fighting for democracy. This is tyranny, where you say, you know what? Things are so bad that I just have to stay in power. I have to stay in power. And America, you better give us your money for the next 10 years. What a freaking scam. Every one of us needs to be on the phone with politicians telling them, you guys are letting our money be stolen. You're weakening America. You're trying to strengthen who? Ukraine? The only one you've strengthened is Russia. I don't know. I want to hear from you guys. Are you as mad as me? Like, am I overreacting? Like, I don't take well to people stealing my money. I pay a lot of money in taxes, and I don't mind paying it if it goes to my American brothers and sisters, if it goes towards a genuine war, if it goes towards world peace or helping out the poor, something like that. But this is just people in Ukraine stealing our money. They stole our money. Okay, I'm going to move on. In the wake of being threatened with impeachment over withholding congressionally approved weapons from Israel, Joe Biden has decided he's going to do a weapons package for Israel. While bombs won't be included, he's going to send $1 billion worth of tank rounds, tactical gear, artillery. Now, I find it crazy because Biden is still being stingy with Israel, even though they just evacuated 300,000 people from the area that they plan to attack. He's still abandoning an ally. I'm not saying go willy-nilly and kill everyone in the area, but they have to take out Hamas. It's insane. Now, you know he only did this because there is precedence for impeaching a president over withholding congressionally approved funds. It's the only reason he did it. I hope every Jew wakes up and realizes Biden has betrayed you. Do not vote for this clown. All right, some breaking news. The House GOP Oversight Committee is recommending Attorney General Merrick Garland be held in contempt of Congress. Now, I sure hope these Republicans will have the backbone to hold him in contempt. I don't think they will. However, what is the point of these press releases if they don't do anything? Merrick Garland is being held in contempt for refusing to hand over to the oversight committee that has the legal rights to the Biden top secret stolen documents audios. So the audio interview, they're supposed to be handed over these tapes, but Merrick Garland won't do it. He doesn't want Republicans to know what Biden said to Robert Hur, the special counsel. You guys, there's so much corruption. They literally, like, they're not handing this over because they know that Biden sounds like a freaking moron. Man, I'm all hyped up. I better go take some NMNH. All right, now, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen has officially defended Biden's decision to place tariffs on electric vehicles coming from China. During an interview with PBS, host Amna Nwaza pressured Yemen to comment on previous comments she made that disparaged Donald Trump for putting tariffs on China. Yellen had this to say: "What we're talking about here are targeted groups of strategic sectors where we have developed a real overdependence on China. We have vulnerability in our supply chain. We've made it a national priority to diversify our supply chain so that we don't experience the same kind of shortages that we did during the pandemic. And these are sectors that are core ones in a modern economy." So let me translate what Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen is saying. When we do it, it's okay. But when Trump does it, it's bad. That's what she's saying.
Okay, folks, I'm going to go ahead and pause it there. He's just got a couple of minutes left in his video. But I like his information, and I think he gives a good presentation, and that's why I shared his video out tonight. Now, the thing that he needs to keep in mind is, Democrats and the media will always defend Democrat policies or Democrat actions. And whatever any Republican does, the Democrats and rhinos and the mainstream media will always criticize it. I mean, I've known that. I'm 71 years old. I am 71 years old. And I've known that since I was a teenager. I could see that when I was a teenager, we had three channels: ABC, CBS, and NBC. And when the news came on, if you wanted to watch TV, that's what you watched. And even then, as a teenager, I could see, that just doesn't seem right. That just doesn't seem right. But at any rate, let's move on here. Let me click on this Rumble link and show you that this video does come from Stephen Gardner. This is the video I shared with you. I'm following his channel. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. Alright, so let's get back here to the description box here of the video that you're watching. And next up is USA Watchdog. Climate Cult Wants Marxist Control with Brian Sussman. So let's go ahead and take a listen to this.
Paul Ehrlich.
Let me back this up to the beginning here for you.
I'm Greg Hunter. Welcome to USAWatchdog.com. I have a brand new guest on. Actually, I've known him since the very beginning of my career. He used to be my boss. He was a news director. He's got big news chops. He later went on to be a meteorologist, a real scientist with meteorological awards, worked in big markets, also filled in on the network, was offered a job by Dan Rather, as long as he's saying the global warming. Remember that before it became climate change. But he was offered a job and had no science for that whole global warming thing. He's written a bestseller, and I think this is on his way to making another bestseller. It's Climate Cult. It is Brian Sussman. Brian Sussman, thanks for joining us today on USAWatchdog.com.
Greg, what a long and strange trip it's been. You are my oldest friend in the news biz. This is an absolute blast to be with you.
You were actually a news director, so it's kind of weird. You started your career, you supervised, 8 or 9 people, and we were in Columbia, Missouri, in the state capitol, and we competed against the University of Missouri, and so you got pretty good news chops. And you were you were on the networks too, and a big weather forecaster, meteorological scientist, and your first book, which was Climategate, was a bestseller. And now this is, and these are my notes here for Climategate. But I wanted to say, because early on you weren't putting up with the BS. And then I read the introduction. I thought, usually the introduction is kind of a throwaway, but yours was great. The whole book is great. I went over the book. And tell me about your Dan Rather story, that you were actually offered a job back when he was the Mac Daddy, the anchor of CBS Evening News. Tell me about your Dan Rather story and what happened. Why didn't you progress your career?
Well, I have to say this first. The best hire I ever made as a television news director, a guy running a newsroom, was Greg Hunter. Seriously, Greg, it was just a lark. We met at a gym on the University of Missouri campus.
Brewer Fieldhouse. No, I knew you. I had taken over your tape loading job at KCBJ TV, which is now called something else. But anyway, I want to talk to you about you, though.
Okay.
Dan Rather. So Rather sees you and offers you a job based on, global warming. But go ahead. I'll pick it up there.
It was the strangest thing, and this really showed me so much about the behind the scenes of the TV industry. But I'd been filling in on a regular basis for years on the CBS Morning News and CBS This Morning in New York. I would fly there from the West Coast, and I'd do a week, sometimes 2 weeks, broadcasting from New York. And I got to know everyone very, very well there, including Dan Rather. Dan was doing his CBS News broadcast from our station in San Francisco. It was Dan Rather reporting live from San Francisco. And as he was getting ready for the program, we bumped into each other, and he started a conversation out with me. And he said, "Hey, Brian, I really like your work on the morning show. I would like to make you the West Coast correspondent for the CBS Evening News. I think you would be perfect." Well, oh my gosh, talk about career aspirations. I thought, this is going to be it. It's incredible. And he said, and this is the mid 1990s. He said, I think you'd be the perfect guy to tell people about global warming. And without really thinking about what I was saying, it was just a natural response. I said, well, Dan, that would be great. The jury is still out on global warming, but I'd love to help out. That's what my response was, almost verbatim. Dan looked at me, didn't even respond verbally other than to kind of shake his head, scowl a little bit, do a 180, and walk away. And I will tell you something, I never worked as a fill-in on the CBS Morning News or CBS This Morning ever again after that.
Oh, boy. So you paid a price for this. And your book you had before, Climate Gate. So now you have Climate Cult. Now this is your first Climate Cult story. Tell me about the Climate Cult. It says here, and I thought, exposing and defeating their war on life, liberty, and property. I mean, this is the Climate Cult. They're coming after your freedom is what this really is all about. Not a few bucks, not to make you pay more for a refrigerator or not use your air conditioning or no. They want you to eat bugs and own nothing. Let's talk about this Climate Cult.
When you look at every environmentalist from present to the past, they all have something in common. They're all Marxists. They all loathe the natural rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, which is the ownership of property. They don't think human beings are capable of being able to handle that type of freedom. So they desire a heavy-handed form of government for the rest of us, but the elites, of course, live at the top. But as I was doing research for this book, I've read almost everything that Karl Marx has ever written, as well as his writing partner, Friedrich Engels. This is in the 1880s, the very first scenario that I ever saw that I've ever read, that anyone's ever put together on climate change was written by Friedrich Engels in 1883. It's in the book. He talks about industrialization, and he talks about free markets creating pollution that would cause the sun to not be able to penetrate the Earth's atmosphere, bring forward global cooling, and turn the Earth into an uninhabitable ball of ice. That was Friedrich Engels, Global Cooling, 1883. You look at direct disciples of Karl Marx. They came up with the first environmental scares. These were direct disciples taught by Marx. They all realized that their best hook to attack industrialization, capitalism, and free markets was the environment. And they've never stopped. In fact, one of Karl Marx's disciples, a guy named Sir Edwin Ray Lancaster, called humans the insurgent sons of nature. You look at Rachel Carson, who wrote that phony baloney book, Silent Spring. One of her writing mentors for that book, was a professor at UC Davis who hated the United States so much, he moved to the Soviet Union. You look at the population bomb written by Paul Ehrlich. Paul Ehrlich is a way out there leftist progressive who, of course, helped founded Earth Day. The other two founders of Earth Day were known to be communists. The entire movement has the fingerprints of Marx all over it, Greg.
I want to talk about the satellite applications that and I want to get to geoengineering because you have a chapter in your book about geoengineering, which is frightening because nobody will talk about it. But this whole climate change, you think the whole debate's a big phony?
It's amazing. One of the gentlemen that gave a cover endorsement for my book, he's 92 years old. What a wonderful guy. He was the director of the National Hurricane Center for 13 years, Dr. Neil Frank. Dr. Neil Frank was told in the 1990s by a buddy of his that you should look into this climate change thing, this global warming thing, because I'm telling you something, it's phony baloney. This is in the mid-1990s. But Dr. Neil Frank said, listen, I'm busy forecasting hurricanes. I trust all those meteorologists. Those guys are okay. Well, finally, after a lot of pressure, he decided to dig into the details of the temperature record himself. Just take a little time, look into the records. They were all available to him. And he came away shocked. Shocked because the climate records had been so manipulated and twisted and bastardized that suddenly he realized, okay, this whole global warming thing is a scam. My first book was called ClimateGate. There was the ClimateGate email scandal. I just interviewed someone recently. Her name is Judith Curry. Judith was in charge of Georgia Tech's atmospheric science program. She took a deep dive into the climate record after the ClimateGate email scandal broke, and she was shocked at how the record had been so manipulated. I'll give you one more example. This is Dr. John Clauser. He was the 2022 physics winner, Nobel Prize winner in physics 2022, John Clauser. John Clauser finally decided, I'm going to look into this climate record. I want to see what these guys are talking about. This was just recently, just a few years ago. So he looks into the record for himself as a physicist, and he's realizing, wow, talk about manipulation. This is a bastardization of science. I'm going to look at these climate models. I understand modeling. I'm going to look at the climate models. He came away shocked because the climate models, Greg, that they're using to forecast this gloom and doom, which is everything the Marxists desire. They want to sell fear to get you into the cult. John Clauser realized, what? The climate models can't even handle water vapor? The climate models can't handle cloud cover? You mean we're estimating the amount of water vapor in the atmosphere and we're estimating the amount of cloud cover? That's how we're doing these climate models? He thought the whole thing was an absolute joke. In physics, it's all about precision. But these climate models, it's all about guessing, putting in your own personal bias, and coming up with stuff that scares the pants off of people who are not educated.
Let's talk about this ESG thing, which is more. It's an amazing book. You put all kinds of different stories and data and facts in it, but it all comes down to they want control. How are they going to get control using this climate cult?
Every cult, and this is why I know the title is an attention getter, and I did that on purpose, but at the same time, it has all the facets of a cult. The climate change agenda brings in all the facets of the cult. The first is doom. You know, they keep telling us if the temperature rises another 0.5 degrees centigrade, it's going to be the end of the earth as we know it. You know, it's really interesting, Greg, when you go back to the Industrial Revolution, which basically really got rolling about 1850. So we've had the use of fossil fuels. We've had billions of more people on the planet. We've had countless cars and trucks and planes and rockets and all of this kind of stuff. And fossil fuels, theoretically, okay, they do expel CO2. That is definitely a greenhouse gas. So the theory holds that greenhouse gas is tweaking the atmosphere. But isn't it interesting? Since the 1850s, all these people, all this infrastructure, all these cars, trains, buses, we've only warmed 1 degree Celsius. And that's perfectly in keeping with the history of temperature as we know it, based on geological records. But they say another 0.5 degree and it's over. So they're scaring the pants off of people. But then just like all cults, they look at you as the problem. You see, you're a carbon sinner. And especially if you live in the United States of America, you're affluent and you've got things that people in the rest of the world don't have. Shame on you. You're a carbon sinner. Oh, but there's atonement, Greg. You can atone by reducing your carbon footprint. You can atone by becoming an activist. You can atone by planting a tree. And then they have a promised utopia. And in their promised utopia, and literally, this comes from documents that I was able to procure from the United Nations, documents from their friends, because they have partnered officially, and I've got this document as well. The United Nations and the World Economic Forum have become partners. The bureaucrats who have been writing this climate agenda for the UN since the 1980s now have some power brokers at their disposal. You know, a lot of people at the World Economic Forum have actually built businesses. They can get things done. They are now carrying the torch forward with this climate change agenda to bring forth a utopia where there will be no more social injustice, there will be no more social inequity, and we'll all just live in peace in a brand new, brave new world. These are their plans, Greg. It's frightening, but that's how they get people into this cult.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause this here. Very interesting information. And yeah, the climate cultists might scare some people. They've scared my kids, and I've tried to explain to them that what they're saying isn't accurate. You know, I go into the same message that I've given here on my live stream numerous times. Okay, if people are causing climate change, and airplanes and cars are drastically causing climate change and manufacturing, what caused the Ice Age 30,000 years ago? Because there were no cars, very few people, there was no manufacturing or airplanes, there were no use of fossil fuels. What caused the Ice Age 30,000 years ago? And if we're the cause of climate change, what ended the Ice Age 10,000 years ago? There were very few people, no trains, planes, or automobiles, no mass production. The climate has always been changing. When I was back in junior high, I lived down in Milan, Indiana, and a big town. Milan's just a small town, had like about 1,000 population. But a bigger town was Batesville, Indiana. Is Batesville, Indiana. And there was a bank there that got a new digital clock and thermometer. Wow, this was high tech. This was back in the late 60s. Mid to late 60s. And they had a contest to who could guess the day that the thermometer would hit 100 degrees that summer. I mean, it was a common occurrence. Indiana, we're talking Indiana. Now, I know there are a lot of states like Oklahoma and Kansas and Missouri and Arkansas and Texas, places like that, and New Mexico and Arizona where, 100 degrees is nothing out of the ordinary. But, it wasn't commonplace, but it happened on occasion each summer. That's why they had the contest. Nowadays, if it hits 85 or 90 degrees, everybody's running around screaming, ripping their hair out. Global warming, global warming. We're all going to die. Back in the 1930s, there were record temperatures here in the Midwest of 117 degrees. And this went on for a 2 or 3 week period during the Dust Bowl. There were a hell of a lot less people then than there are now. A hell of a lot less trains, planes, and automobiles. And a hell of a lot less manufacturing than there is now. So what caused the temperatures to get so high? Maybe it was the sun? Maybe it was the sun. Because you know what? That is what causes heat on the earth. The sun. And when the sun goes through changes, guess what? We here on earth see those changes and feel those changes. It's not the carbon emissions and cow farts that Bill Gates wants to eliminate by the use of vaccines. I reported on this yesterday. Let me click on this Rumble link and show you this video does come from Greg Hunter. This is the video I shared with you. The link is in the description box, so if you want to watch the rest of this, I'm following the channel. I've given it a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. Okay, let's get back here and listen to Health Ranger Report. Bird flu campaign being rolled out to push another wave of deadly jabs. Here we go.
Wrong with this world. Now I'm going to shift to a different topic here. Let's talk about the big bird flu psyop. Now there's a website, a blog site called Second Smartest Guy in the World that has a really great article called Disease X, 70 Colorado dairy farm workers monitored for symptoms as FDA claims bird flu will kill 1 in 4 Americans. What? From false flags to assassinations to various psyops like Disease X, there are many options on the table that may be used against we the people, as well as the rest of the world. Psyop bird flu is now being trial ballooned for summer lockdowns. And then they're quoting CBS Colorado News as saying that 42 dairy herds across 9 states have tested positive for bird flu. Yeah. And of course, as you know, I've covered this before, that whole thing of tested positive, it's all quackery. There's no scientific basis whatsoever, no instrument basis, no external standards. When they say that they tested positive for bird flu, that means they're just making it up. Literally, they're just making it up.
Okay, you think they might be lying to us about this? Kind of like they're lying to us about climate change? Because they are lying to us. Do you think they might be lying to us about this? Like they were about, I don't know, the Russian collusion hoax? I don't know, the quid pro quo with Ukraine? I don't know, the insurrection on January 6th of 2021? When no one was arrested for carrying a firearm or even a pitchfork. Okay, the MAGA Republican Party was staging an insurrection to take over the United States with no weapons. Imagine that.
And then the article continues from CBS, mainstream media. While scientists say bird flu has pandemic potential, they claim the risk to humans is very low right now, but they discourage the consumption of raw milk, unpasteurized milk, you see? Because then they're saying that pasteurization kills the viruses. What? I mean, this is just complete nonsense from CBS. Number one, viruses aren't even alive. And secondly, pasteurization does not denature so-called viruses, which are just protein sequences from cell exosomes. Pasteurization is designed to kill bacteria. These morons at CBS. Oh, and Reuters is part of this story, it turns out. These morons don't even know how pasteurization is supposed to work. Pasteurization doesn't kill viruses, but they're attacking raw milk here, as if you drink raw milk, you might die from scary bird flu. So make sure you're getting that pasteurized, homogenized milk with the artificially altered milk fats that promote all kinds of cardiovascular and heart disease, by the way. Oh, don't you dare touch that scary, scary raw milk, fresh from the cow. Woo, that might kill you. That's what they're saying. This is incredible. And then they claim that they did a bird flu vaccine study on some monkeys. And they claim that they infected 6 monkeys with bird flu who were unvaccinated. And 4 out of the 6 died. They say, oh my God, get ready for the bird flu vax. Yep. And then this story talks about CDC director, former director, Robert Redfield, who says that he's worried about the bird flu, that right now it takes about 5 amino acid changes to make it effectively infecting humans. And he says, in the laboratory, quote, I could make it highly infectious for humans in months. That's from the CDC.
Well, let's go ahead and do that then. Yeah, by all means. Let's manipulate that virus so it can attack human beings. Because that's what they do, folks. These gain-of-function laboratories. They take a virus and manipulate it so that it will be hazardous to human beings. Why? So they can create a vaccine for it? Well, if they hadn't manipulated it, we wouldn't need a vaccine if the vaccine even frickin' worked. Like the CV-19 jab that was not safe and it was not effective, but it certainly did cause quite a few adverse events and harmful to human beings. So yeah, let's do this. Let's manipulate this virus so that it will be accepted by humans. All right? Why don't you just frickin' leave it alone, okay? Oh, there's no money in that. What the hell am I thinking?
And then this story cites an article from the UK Daily Mail that says, this is unbelievable, FDA says it's preparing for a bird flu pandemic in people that could kill 1 in 4 Americans. Dr. Robert Califf of the FDA says he's drawing up plans for a major outbreak. Yeah, plans to cause a major outbreak. And he was talking to a Senate committee, says they're drawing up plans to roll out tests and antiviral drugs and vaccines in the event that the bird flu virus jumps to humans. And he says the risk was still low, and so far it's only infected 1 person, a farm worker in Texas. But then he says the virus is mutating. Oh, here we go. Here comes the viral scare story, right? He says we need to continue to prepare for the possibility that it might jump to humans like fleas, right? He says the real worry is that it will jump to the human lungs, where when that has happened in other parts of the world, he says, the mortality rate has been 25%. Those are my donkeys laughing at the FDA commissioner. He wants you to think that 25% of the American people are going to die because that's what they saw in a third world country somewhere that probably didn't have access to running water or something.
Okay, folks, I'm going to go ahead and pause this here. All right. This is more manipulation. More manipulation to keep us under control. To, I don't know, rig the 2024 election? Put out more mandates? You're not allowed to go out and vote. You have to vote by mail. You have to vote by drop box. Because we can't be close to each other. We have to be at least 6 foot apart. And you can't control that if you're electing. They're lying to us. Okay, just as Sussman talked about in the video with Greg Hunter. They're lying to us, manipulating us, trying to keep us down. And they'll use anything. Climate, pandemics, plandemics, scandemics, anything they can. All right. Click on this Rumble link and show you that this video does come from Health Ranger Report. Now, I'm just 33 minutes into this 2-hour and 24-minute video. So there's a lot of great information in here. I'm just giving you tidbits of this because this information all comes from Murtech.com, which the information on Murtech.com comes directly from the producer's channel. I clicked on the Rumble link and here we are. Right here, Health Ranger Report. This is the video I shared with you. I'm following his channel and giving him a thumbs up. Again, I hope you do the same thing with me. And right here, folks, this Murtech.com, and the link is in the description box below. Murtech.com has over 50 no-nonsense, common sense, logic, and truth videos. Here's the one from USA Watchdog. I'm going to share some information here from Wendy Bell. And Health Ranger Report is right here. And Stephen Gardner, his video is right here. Plus I have The Officer Tatum. My Catholic Red Pill, X22 Report, Dan Bongino, McWater's Effect, Awaken with JP, And We Know, America First, ACLJ Seculo, Alex Newman. I have all kinds of information here, and the thing about it, folks, is it's free. I don't ask you for your name. I don't ask you for your email address. I don't ask you to sign up for a newsletter or a membership because it's open to everyone. I don't drop cookies on your computer, and I don't have ads popping up in your face. This is your one-stop shop for no-nonsense, common sense, logic, and truth. All right, this is your antidote to the lies and propaganda from the mainstream media and deep state swamp. Let's wrap this up with Wendy Bell. America needs a factory reset. Let's take it off with her and see what she has to say.
Kansas City Chiefs kicker guy, all right? Very handsome young man. His name is Harrison Butker, and he delivered a powerful address, and he was espousing these Christian values to a group of graduates at Benedictine College on Saturday. Now, this is not controversial at all to those of us who remember what it was like before the world got crazy, before we were infiltrated by extremists on either side. We are not an extreme people. We are not like that. We're a very understanding, cooperative bunch of people. The extremes force you, though, to get your pitchfork and your ammo and get ready for battle. And I want you to hear the unraveling of this story. So he gives this address in his commencement speech. He blasted President Biden for his pro-abortion stances. He urged male grads to embrace their masculinity and champion the virtues of motherhood by telling female graduates that there is no higher calling than being a homemaker. Now, you can say to yourself, that's sexist. We can do what you can do, and we can do it better. You can say that all you want. Men cannot be mothers, and mothers cannot be fathers. And we got to be cool with that. And we got to love that. And we've got to embrace that. And we've got to take it all the way until our final day. And do it together. This is what he's saying. On Wednesday, in a statement to People, NFL Senior Vice President, Chief Diversity and Inclusion Officer. Oh, shut up, NFL. I mean, for heaven's sakes, is there more diversity in the world than in freaking professional athletics? Right? Does anybody look at that and say, wow, that's an all-white team? Because they don't exist. Please. You guys are glad-handers. You're total posers. And you lack the backbone that the singular Kansas City Chiefs kicker, through his faith and his heart and his own free will, decides to bestow upon kids at a Catholic university.
Now, right there, a Catholic university. Okay, now, it was my impression that Catholics do not favor abortion. It was my understanding, now I'm sure things have changed, that Catholics actually aren't in favor of contraception. Now, I know a lot of things have changed, and here I'm talking back when I used to hang out with a Catholic priest. A bunch of buddies of mine would go over to his house on Friday or Saturday night, and he'd let us play penny ante poker and let us drink coffee. Oh man, that was hot stuff. But this is something. I mean, and he was just doing this to keep us off the street, so we'd stay out of trouble. So we'd go over there for a couple hours, and he'd fix us some coffee, and yeah, we thought we were hot stuff, drinking coffee and playing penny ante poker. But it was my understanding that Catholics do not believe in abortion nor even contraception. And I just had to put this in here. It amazes me why any Catholic would vote for a Democrat. If you can explain that to me in the description, in the comment section down below, I would greatly appreciate that. Why do Catholics vote Democrat? Because Democrats are full bore on abortion. Because they don't want all these people around. It's too hard to control us. Shit, we want to vote and everything like that. They can't have that. They can't have people speaking their own minds. Only what they tell us to say, okay? That's the Democrat Party.
The stupid Chief Diversity and Inclusion Officer, Jonathan Bean, clarified that Butker's values are not the NFL's. Well, you know what? Shame on the NFL, Mr. Bean. Because you know what works? Men and women doing things together, working together. Not putting up a platform, not giving money to Black Lives Matter. What a joke. What a joke the NFL is. Roger Goodell, you're a joke too, sucker. Harrison Butker gave a speech in his personal capacity, Bean wrote. His views are not those of the NFL as an organization. The NFL is steadfast in our commitment to inclusion, which can only make us stronger. What is exclusive about a man saying, you know what, men, you need to stand up. You need to be the men. You need to be the fighters. You need to be the protectors. You need to be the warriors. You need to protect the women and the children in your life. And women, by the way, while we're out doing that, it's super nice when things are all taken care of back at home. It's a valuable, valuable partnership. I lead it every single day. And oh, by the way, I have 2 full-time jobs. It's possible. The NFL would sooner take a knee with hack former NFL guy, Colin Kaepernick, and who, by the way, espouses defunding the police, hates cops, maybe not hate, has disparaged. NFL is totally cool with that. But if a young man on his own time, not representing anything other than his values, not the NFL, he didn't show up in his Chiefs uniform. He went and he spoke from the heart. You're allowed to do that in this country. But apparently you're not if you're white, if you're straight, if you're Catholic, and if you're male. Factory reset is what we need. The NFL's assertive stance that the league does not share Butker's traditional Christian values stands in stark contrast to how the NFL handled the situation of infamous national anthem protester Colin Kaepernick. The league never disagreed with his flagrantly anti-American and anti-police statements. Look, I don't care if somebody wants to call me a racist because I call somebody who's black wrong. I disagree with what you say. You're allowed to say that. We've kowtowed to way too many people out there. Most of them are malignant personalities for this country. Most of them are connected to the downward spiral of this great nation. Most of them need to be told to sit down because we've come to take our country back. And if the NFL wants to Heisman itself in distance from this Kansas City Chiefs player who merely spoke from the heart, so be it. So be it. But you now know. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, let's see. Walls are closing in, a sign of what is coming. There's going to be a debate. There's going to be 2 debates. Sounds like it's going to be fantastic. Will it? What are the parameters? What are people saying about this? What do you think? Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
All right, I'm going to pause this here. I'm like 28 minutes into this. I started it up past her introduction and the radio advertising time. Let me click on the Rumble link and show you that this video does come from Wendy Bell Radio. America needs a factory reset. That's for sure. That is absolutely for sure. Okay, following her channel, give her a thumbs up. Again, I hope you do the same thing for me. Let's get back here to the main page. And folks, these are, if you've listened to me before, you know this is what I do. I highlight some of the videos. This is just 4 of the videos that I have on my channel. All I'm doing is trying to get the truth out to people. Okay? And let me know again in the comments section below if any of this information that I've shared with you today you would hear on the mainstream media. The deep state swamp media, the mockingbird media, the lying legacy media. You won't. You won't hear this on CNN or MSNBC, but you'll hear it here. And you can get more of it over here at Murtec.com. I said there's a link to Murtec.com in the description box right here. Daily News Update, Murtec.com. Boom. It'll take you right there. And all this information is right at your fingertips. You can search through Rumble and YouTube and search all these channels out, or you can come here. And if you click on the name of the channel, like Alex Newman, it's going to take you to Alex Newman's channel. Okay? Or if you come down here to Dan Bongino and click on that, it's going to take you to Dan Bongino's channel. Has the real debate already started? Well, that happens to be the video that I'm sharing here on my channel. Now some channels, after I update my site for the final time, will drop some new information, and that's good that you can click on this name of the channel and go to it and see if there's some new information. I'm not trying to take anything from any of these producers. And it's full disclosure here, folks. These are their videos. And when you view one of their videos, they are going to receive the credit for that view and the thumbs up you give them and the comments that you give them. I don't receive any commissions or royalties for sharing this information out. My satisfaction is that I'm helping get the truth out. And I hope you help me get the truth out as well by sharing this information. Right here's a share button on Rumble. You can click this and you will be able to share this on Facebook, on True Social. You can email it out. You can put it on Twitter or X, WhatsApp. You can even copy this and put it on your favorite social media platform. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and share this on Twitter, X. Right there's the video that I'm sharing. And amazingly enough, there it is. Isn't that nice? So, folks, it only takes a few seconds to share this out so other people can be aware of the truth and the information that I shared with you tonight. I want to thank you for your time. And I hope you share this information out. Hopefully I'll get to see you again tomorrow, and my live stream will start at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time tomorrow. Thanks again, and may God bless.